Reminders that come from a company are competing for attention with so many other things. How can you frame it so the reminder really feels like it comes from yourself? That's a messaging intervention, right? So you're building reminders, and just the way that it pops up, whether it's via text or via email or whatever, wherever medium it comes up, it really needs to feel like it's coming from me, from my past self. That will be much more effective in getting that reminder to actually grab people's attention, because it's saying like, hey, I said I was going to do this, and I've now reminded myself. Some of the research on prospect theory and behavioral economics shows that in order to kind of reduce the pain of paying, separate gains and integrate losses. And what I mean by that is, if you want to get the most bang for your buck, if you're going to give people small rewards, it's actually better to separate the rewards into 5 small rewards rather than one big one. And then the flip side of that is integrating losses, which is if you're going to charge somebody an extra fee, it's better to integrate them rather than separate. There's been some interesting research on people paying for, say, like newspaper subscriptions or Netflix or something that, okay, if I want, I'm paying a monthly rate. But often what you find for these like newspaper subscriptions is a ton of people will read like the New York Times, for instance, the first 4 articles. And then when they hit the paywall, they'll never subscribe because it's just too much. I can't be bothered. I just want the free ones. And there's been some interesting research looking at if you were to say, well, instead of doing that, why don't you have people pay per article? And you make them really cheap, but you just pay for each individual article. Okay, now, say me as a customer, you're getting New York Times getting $0 from me. Now you can at least get a little bit, but there is a threshold. And this is what some of the behavioral science literature is looking at. If it's a low enough number, I basically treat it the same as 0. If it's cheap enough, great strategy. As soon as it gets expensive that I feel like I have to make a decision, then you're better off doing the monthly subscription rate. When you think of insurance, people hate deductibles. If you look at like the overall value, like expected value of an insurance contract, and they've done experiments on this in research on deductible aversion. People will choose insurance contracts that are objectively worse for them just to avoid having to pay a deductible. This is just having a realistic sense of people's psychology of just because, you're offering them an objectively better contract doesn't mean they like it more, right? They feel terrible when they go to their dentist or their doctor and they're like, they get them some big expensive bill and they forget everything except for the deductible that they had to pay. They'd rather pay higher monthly premiums and no deductible.